3. Good morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Yeah, let's take a look at today's front pages, shall we? The Times is leading with the former Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng's first interview since being sacked, where he actually blames Liz Truss for going too far with her economic reforms.
The Guardian has an exclusive with teachers who warn many children who are not eligible for free school meals are turning up with mouldy food or nothing at all.
The Mail focuses on the latest Just Stop Oil protest, which forced the M25 to close for the 4th day running.
The Eye warns of a winter of discontent as many unions ballot for strike action.
The Express focuses on the potential delay to the social care costs cap.
Well, let's go through some of those. This morning we have Oscar Redrop, former special advisor to Boris Johnson, and broadcaster Liz Kershaw. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We're going to have to kick off Oscar with the Times and Kwasi Kwarteng. Now his turn to throw Liz Truss under the bus.
I was surprised by how quickly the exit interviews happened. I would have thought he would have waited a little bit longer, maybe perhaps after the budget, because there will inevitably be a bit of fallout there, political fallout for the party, for sure. I was surprised by the speed of it. I think, of course, we get really interested in the personalities and the drama of the interview, and obviously what happened at number 10 and 11, it feels like years ago, but it's like a matter of months. But the real, the interesting political point that's kind of buried a bit actually in the interview is the warning Rishi against upping taxes in the mid to long term, and that is really symptomatic of the fractious nature of the party that's still there. You know, you've got Ian Duncan Smith taking to the airways, warning against exactly that. So even though the interviews, the drama is of course between Liz and Kwasi, it is reflective of the drama that the party is going to have to deal with moving forward in terms of their economic policy. I mean, I do think he's a really talented guy, and a really bright, talented guy, and you do hope there's a place for him in politics.
Not soon, though. Not soon.
Well, no, not soon at all. And I think, again, the thing that he did get right, that he did allude to in the interview, I think, was, getting rid of him exposed her, and it only sped up the process. And I know she seemed to suggest that the writing was on the wall for her, if she sacked him or not, but it certainly sped it up. So I think he got that right.
But what I don't understand is, he said in this interview that she went sort of too far and too fast after the mini-budget. Whereas he launched a mini-budget and then said the following Sunday, and there's going to be more tax cuts by the end of the year, which is what spooked the markets.
I like him, but first of all, can I question his judgment, not on economics, but the fact that he gave this interview to Talk TV with very few viewers. He could have come on here this morning, couldn't he?
Really?
Absolutely.
And reached a wider audience and got his point across. I don't think it's fair to say this article is critical of Liz Truss, per se. He's supporting still the policies that growth is the answer. Growth is the answer to our next item, which is all these public sector workers and their pay rises. He was saying he merely cautioned her on the speed. She was saying, I've only got 2 years. He said, you'll only have 2 months, love, if you do it like this. And then, even after the 23rd of September, the mini-budget, he was still saying, put the brakes on a bit. Also, it's fair to point out, I think it needs pointing out, nobody out there watching this programme is daft enough to think that Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss caused the black hole in our national finances. It flustered the markets for a week. The pound dropped. The pound also dropped because the Fed in America was putting up their exchange rates and attracting investment inwards and diverting it from us. And there's the interest rates and inflation all over Europe, as we've been saying for the past few weeks, is in exactly the same boat. The deficit in the finances is because of the billions that were spent in 2020 and 2021 on keeping people in jobs through furlough, and these business loans which went to all sorts of bogus sources and which are now shown to be bogus and cost us billions. And he was the Chancellor then, Rishi Sunak. So to blame it all on the 23rd and Truss and Kwasi is just wrong. But he's definitely in this article still supportive of the policies of lowering taxes, withdrawing proposed taxes to boost the economy.
And so is she, actually. Isn't
Yes,
she?
and I am.
Hasn't regret anything.
No, it'll be interesting to
No.
see if she fires back in an interview of her own, actually.
He's
as
not
well.
being unkind, is he? He's not
No.
talking about it. He's basically trying to just defend his own economics.
Legacy.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It just. I mean, whichever way you look at it now. I mean, I know you're of a view that it was trustonomics was the right idea, just maybe handled badly. The problem is, it does just. You look back at that period now, and it just feels like it was just 7 weeks of mass instability.
Yeah,
That's
but
the problem.
None of the policies that they proposed or changes, I think one of them, were actually kept or introduced when she'd been kicked out, and Sunak came in. Yet, so they didn't. I just want to repeat myself. They did not cause the
No.
increased taxes that we may suffer next. And the one thing that really brought it down was media hysteria and markets, and among the people out there, politics of envy. Oh, you're going to reduce the top rate of tax for the really rich. Well, really rich, there's about over 100,000. It's not Russian oligarchs and billionaires.
It's going to cost £2 billion, wasn't it?
It's
Which was
the drop in the ocean.
I think the real frustration that was happening within government, though, was that the distractions, and, fair point, Liz, completely, but nonetheless, the distractions that did take place completely took away from a pretty substantial, energy kind of bill package. And everyone forget that even happened. And I think within government, amongst ministers, MPs, that causes a lot of frustration. A lot of the good stuff the government is doing, and good stuff at a cost, by the way, that the government is doing, is just kind of going largely unnoticed due to kind of high-profile distractions.
But we've had, just broaden it out, we've had 3 attacks now on a democratically elected leader of the Conservative Party / Prime Minister. I'd say the same if it was the Labour Party in a Labour government. They've got rid of Theresa May, they've got rid of Boris Johnson, they've got rid of Liz Truss. Why now are we all worshipping at the altar of Rishi Sunak? Why is there not a big outrage in the press
Give it
and
time, Liz,
broadcast
give it
media
time.
against him? Why are we all supposed to be so reverential? It's like our NHS, our BBC, our Rishi Sunak. I'm not buying it, and I'm sure lots of people out there aren't either, but I do look forward to next Thursday.
I think it's desperation, isn't it?
We just want
exhaustion.
And they do,
Exhaustion's a perfect word for it.
Just sort of think,
Oh, for God's sake,
let's just
go
get on
there.
with it.
Yeah.
Let's just get on with it now. I mean, that's
But we've all
what
been
it is.
worn down, haven't we? Which is perhaps the plan. We're all so, cooperative now, because we daren't be otherwise.
You were pretty bring back Boris in the green room, Liz, when we were chatting.
Well, I've been quite open on here. I don't know about bringing him back now, but I definitely think he was undemocratically unseated, and I think there are probably a lot of people out there that still would like to see Boris running the country, because apart from anything else, it's good fun when times are crap, and that's why people are saying, actually, I liked him, I voted for him. Not keen on what we've got now. It's been a kick in the teeth for me. Nobody cares what I think. I'm either not going to vote or I'm going to vote reform.
Well, and that shows.
Oh,
You were
suggested
discussing-
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's have a look at the Mail, Liz, should we? The Home Secretary is wanting to crack down on eco-zealots.
Yes.
But a top police officer is going against that already, apparently.
I mean, the photo is of one person on a gantry over the motorway, and in his high-vis jacket, etc., made from carbon, made from fossil
Made from
fuels,
oil. Yeah.
petrochemically derived. I mean, these people as clever as they think they are? Probably the ropes they use are plastic coated. They drive there. There was 4 of them stopped in a car the other day, weren't they, in a petrol car.
Oh, well, there.
So I don't understand why the whole motorway has to be closed because one bloke or woman is propped up above it.
Well, in case they fall.
What?
In case they fall off. Because actually, although you don't want them to die, let's be honest.
No, nobody wants anybody to
But
die.
also, it would cause a lot of accidents. It's got the potential to cause the deaths of drivers.
Well,
sort of thing.
I was thinking about this as I drove towards Signs this morning at 4 o'clock, saying M1 closed, and I was working out how I would come off and avoid it and still get here, and then it said M25 closed, junction 13 to 15. I don't know the cause. I immediately assumed it was these people, but I thought, no, I'm just going to ignore this sign. I'm going to drive on. And if I get there and I get stopped because there's somebody hanging on a gantry, I'm going to get my toe down and I'll get involved in a high-speed chase, or I'm going to get out, tell them what I've
You'd get arrested.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you
I'd
definitely get arrested.
get arrested. But I don't understand why we're so powerless. So I thought, well, why can't the police, if it said there was one lane open at one point, so why can't the police ascend, stand on either side, make sure that person can't move and keep the other lanes open?
No, just drag them off.
Yeah.
If they're going to go, if the police are going to go up there, just drag them off.
Well, or taser them.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, I think, no, I mean...
They taser other people who are
it is so...
and endangering life.
It is so horrific. There's nothing kind of sadder, in a way, than watching very stressed, under pressure people, working people, trying to get to their, place of work when they've probably got a family back home.
Yeah.
Bills coming through the letterbox, and it is genuinely quite distressing to watch their stress.
Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, mine was, if I don't get there this morning, having woken up at 1:45, I won't get paid. What a waste of time and effort. But I thought I'd feel more sorry for this fella in a van next lane to me, who might have got a job,
That's right.
Self-employed on an hourly, daily rate.
And that's not this isn't media hysteria.
No.
That is literally happening. That is actually happening to people, and it's
Well, there were two people
grim.
killed on the M20 a couple of weeks ago because they were blocking the Dartford Bridge and they diverted. And then there was an accident, which can happen any time, but they ran into each other. There were people who normally wouldn't have been in that spot on the M20. So actual deaths have been caused now. But the loss of income is just terrible.
It's just so selfish to impose such disruption on other people, isn't it? It's terribly selfish. I don't understand why they think that's bettering their cause. It can't be.
How's it
Turning people off,
How's
surely.
it going to be stopped? Because the whole economy will grind to a halt. I mean, if people can't travel and can't plan journeys. I mean, I have a business in Kent and I'm due to go down. Lots of things to do down there. And I think I'm not going to sit on the motorway for 5 hours. So the only way to avoid it now is for me to go in the middle.
Train.
No, I can't. I've got loads of stuff to take. In the middle of the night, I'm going to drive down, maybe set off at, 11 o'clock at night or something, because I don't think these people will be...
And to your point, Anne, like it's such a cop-out, because if you do care about the environment and you do want to make change, that's a really good thing, by the way. I don't think anyone's saying it isn't. Like, become a local councillor, get involved in politics. Like, that's actually that's too difficult. It's so much easier just to lie in the street and.
Well, Caroline, one of our viewers, has got in touch. She says it's time for the majority to take a stand and glue themselves to the driveways of those protesting, stopping their families from going about their day-to-day lives. It's a jolly good idea.
That's good.
To find out
Who
where they live,
The problem is when they get interviewed, and a lot of them, I saw one being interviewed yesterday somewhere else, and they're just overprivileged.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, just overprivileged.
Woman, long ginger hair.
That's her.
She was very eloquent when she was on here one morning and put a very good case for why we should be cutting down on carbon emissions, but her inspiration is quite inspirational. However, the methods are attacking the people who least need.
And turning people off the
cause. This is a problem.
I suspect 13% of people in your people's poll who support them, don't have a car and don't rely on...
haven't been affected.
Yeah, don't rely on it to get to work and probably don't live anywhere near the M25.
Let's have a look at the eye, should we? In the winter of discontent. It's a phrase I'm fed up of hearing. There you go.
No, I mean, it's a very tough situation. I think what we're seeing is a bit of a snowball effect, where RMT do their strike, and then all of a sudden every section of the public sector starts standing up and saying, "Hey, what about us?" I think you will see terms like broken Britain getting chucked a lot by the Labour Party. And it's a really, really difficult one because, these are hard-working people and they are experiencing very, very tough circumstances, and to greater and lesser extents, we all are. The thing I always think about this, and Liz, you kind of sparked this in me a bit when we were chatting backstage, is, there are...
That debate affects...
But you're spot on, because, we all think, the public sector, and yes, but there is people work in the private sector. The example you use, a guy, for example, who works in a petrol station or something like that, who don't have some huge union kind of, banging the drum for them, and they're watching this and just going, hang on, one, all your strikes are inconveniencing my life, and secondly, I don't have that. I'm not earning a lot of money. I don't have a big voice here. I'm just kind of cracking on. Having said that, I think the battle for the government that they're also experiencing is, number 11, number 10 are asking all departments to find, efficiency savings. So I just don't know how you square that circle.
It's very difficult. I was at my local hospital last night having my retinopathy check. If you're a type 1 diabetic, get it done. And just talking to the DSN specialist nurse, who I know very well, and was catching up with her, and just saying, well, are you going to strike? I said, well, actually, I haven't been asked about striking. No one's polled me, and I don't know if I'd do it anyway. However, it's miserable. They're working 12 to 14, 16-hour days, 5 days a week. So we just haven't got the staff. We haven't...
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just like, I think when the people strike, and it's annoying and frustrating, but they've got a point. I think when nurses strike, you've got to look at it very seriously.
I think they are, and I think I saw Mark Harper yesterday, the Secretary of State, and he was saying that the 17.6% is simply just unrealistic, but that can be a starting point where they can find a negotiation, and hopefully we avoid, because that would be, that's horrific in a society.
Not one of these groups. Just to say, nurses, train drivers, postal workers, bus drivers, tube staff, bin men, university lecturers, teachers, firefighters, 300...
Who's left?
Yeah.
So these are all mainly public sector workers, not the postal workers. That's not public sector really anymore, is it? They're all people we utterly depend on, but they're all people who are either employed by the government or by your local authority. So withdrawing the labour does not affect their employer financially, because the government and the council still take our taxes and our council tax.
And we've got to, Liz, leave it there, I'm afraid. Tough one to stop, this Kershaw woman, Thank you very much indeed.
I'll come back in an hour.
You will come back in an hour.
Yes.
We'll get it all again.
To that, yes.